I want to thank you very much for coming to the field day today. I'm going to do a summary of the 300-day grazing program. You can see the names at the bottom. One of the things I want to really add a compliment to is the entire beef unit here at the station are just great to work with. Tom Hess and the others are just great to work with. They're whenever we work cattle, they're there to help us, and it really is a team effort here for the 300-day grazing program. I'm going to provide a little background of the 300-day grazing effort and talk a little bit about the cattle performance on the 300-day grazing herd the last 5 years, and talk a little bit about what would have happened this year. Back in 2007, the price of corn and the price of diesel just skyrocketed. The bottom here are years, and on the left is dollars. The yellow line is the price of corn. And I know you all remember this. I mean, I sure remember this. I know you do too. About the 2007, the price of corn just skyrocketed. The price of corn today is still about $5, but the price of corn just went up to about $7, and that's not delivered. That's not the deliver price. And the price of corn is important to us because all of our other feeds are priced off the price of corn. And it just skyrocketed in about 2007. The price of diesel, number two, diesel did the same thing. What are you paying for diesel today? Still about $4? About right? So the price of feed and the price of fuel starting in 2007 just skyrocketed. But what else went up in 2007? Fertilizer, triple 13, 17, urea, ammonia. You just name any one of them. I mean, they just skyrocketed in 2007, and they're still high. And so, starting in 2007, the three F's, feed, fertilizer, and fuel, just skyrocketed in 2007. And so we took a look at that as a unit and said, what can we do to help producers manage feed, fertilizer, and fuel? Well, one of the committees that we have in animal science is a committee of county agents. There are 15 county agents. And this committee of county agents help us direct our programs, all of our programs, our 4-H programs, our horse programs, beef programs, forage programs. And we sat down with these group of county agents and talked about this situation. And they're the ones that help set the overall direction of our programs. And it was the idea of these county agents that we need to try to come up with a program to be more efficient with pasture management, be more efficient with hay management, and be more efficient with feeding management. And it was out of this committee of county agents that the 300-day grazing program was formed. It was their idea of how to do this, that we need to come up with being more efficient with these areas. And so the 300-day grazing program came up with these different demonstrations. Demonstrations in hay management, how to do a better job of storing hay and feeding hay. Stockpile forages, both warm season and cool season forages. Rotational grazing or strip grazing. Complementary forages, plain legumes. And then have some whole farms out there to try to put all the pieces together to try to extend grazing to 300 days. And so it was these demonstrations that were put together by these county agents. And we've put together demonstrations throughout the entire state. And one of the things about the whole farms is that we're able to put the pieces together to actually show how you can graze for 300 days. And that's what we've done here at the station. And it was my idea, and I popped up and said that if we're going to demonstrate how to graze cattle for 300 days, do you think we ought to get a herd and see if we can do it ourselves? And Don heard that. And he said, well, I'll give you a set of cows. And so that's where this demonstration came from. And it's a demonstration. It's not research. We're not replicating anything. There's no treatments here. It's a demonstration. So the 300-day grazing program really is a statewide program. And it's a statewide program, and it is utilized and it's implemented by our county extension faculty. And they're a key to the 300-day grazing program success. They've conducted over 150 on-farm demonstrations in over 50 counties, which illustrates that it is a statewide program, and they've saved over $300,000 to producers with these different types of demonstrations. It's a tremendous success. And our county extension faculty and the producers will participate with these programs are to be complimented for their work in this area. But here's the base build demonstration. And this is a picture where we fence line weaned our calves last year or so. And that's fence line weaning. But when we sat down to do a 300-day grazing demonstration of base build, we wanted to set some goals. And here's our goals. We wanted 90% net calf crop. Now, net calf crop means number of calves weaned divided by number of cows exposed to the herd, or exposed to the bull, an average 550-pound weaning weight, and reduce supplemental feeding to 60 days or less. Another goal of ours was that we were going to implement research, scientific-based practices that all Arkansas cattle producers could use themselves. No hocus pocus here. No practices that were not approved by anybody, but just solid research-based practices that all Arkansas cattle producers could implement on their farms themselves. So that's where our goals. Okay, we started off with a fall calving herd. We have September and October. We wean calves in May. Okay, we'll wean calves next month. And generally speaking, we always ask the question, do we want to sell calves in May, or do we want to look at the market and see if we want to graze them for a post-weaning period? See if we can put added gain and added value on those calves. We ask that question every year, and we'll ask that question again next month. Well, we've got 130 acres of forages, fescue, legume, Bermuda grass mix, 70% cool season and 30% warm season. Our stocking rate's about 2.5 acres per animal unit, and pastures have electric fences and waters. Here's our forage plan, and this is all I'm going to talk about the forage plan, because it took John Jennings 6 years for me to learn this much. And it's not because John's not a good teacher. He's an excellent teacher. I'm an animal scientist. In the spring of the year, we like to start off with clover and fescue. And if it ever warms up and grows, maybe we'll have fescue and clover this year too. But in the spring, we start with fescue and clover. And I'm here to tell you, it's amazing to me how much nitrogen clover will put in the ground. Because we don't fertilize our clover or fertilize our fescue very much because of the nitrogen that the clover will put in the ground. It will save you nitrogen costs. We move to Bermuda grass for the summer and early fall. We'll stockpile that Bermuda grass for the fall grazing for November, and that has worked very well. We'll move to a novel fescue clover for our weaned calves for weaned calves in the spring. We fence line wean our calves, as the picture that I showed you, and we'll put up those calves on high quality novel fescue and clover in the spring for our top gains. And we'll put our lactating cows in the fall prior to breeding, so they flush up and have good quality forage for the breeding season. And then stockpile fescue for the winter time, and then right back to the spring season again. So that's our basic forage plan, and it's not very complicated. And that's what we use for our plan. Now, as season changes, we'll deviate from this plan a little bit, and we're always planning a season ahead for our forage plan to make sure that our forage is available when the time comes. Here's our grazing season. We started in 2008 is year one. 2008, 2009, we grazed for 337 days. 9 and 10, 311 days. 10, 11, 330, 11, 12, 323. And here's the drought year. We grazed for 279 days. Consequently, these are the number of days that we fed hay. Over the last 5 years, we've averaged feeding hay approximately 50 days a year. 50 days a year of this forage program. Okay? So it's really worked well. We have spent the last 5 years basically fine-tuning the forage program, and in the future we're going to spend a little more time with that, but we're going to spend more time working on our cattle genetics and our cattle herd. Okay, we started off with a balancer crossbred cows. We started off with 38 head. And the reason why we started off with 38 head, because at that time, that was the average size cow herd for the state, was 38 head. All these cows are bred to balancer bulls, and we just got what we got. And when you buy a set of cows, that's just what you get. Okay. They calve in the fall, and we started off in July of 2008. The reason why we started in July 2008, because when you work for the university, that's when your fiscal year starts. That's when we started. And that really works well for us because we're trying to graze 300 days, and we're trying to graze through the winter time. If we started off in January 1, that would have been quite as convenient for us. So that worked okay. We leased 2 Hereford bulls from a local producer, but it really worked well for us. Prior to the breeding season, we always do a breeding soundness evaluation. If you're not doing a breeding soundness evaluation, you need to do that. Calves are too valuable today for you to miss a half a calf crop because one of your bulls is sterile. You need to do a breeding soundness evaluation. In 2011, Livestock and Poultry passed their trichomoniasis regulation. We trick test the bulls as well. In year 1, one of our 2 bulls failed. Just think what would have happened to us if we put 2 bulls out with 38 cows and 1 bull was not fertile. So that was a good lesson for us. We were able to get a second bull and did do a BSE on that second bull and it passed. In year 5, 1 bull had a bad eye, cancer eye, went down. But that bull, we were already 3/4 into the breeding season. We did not replace that bull. We felt we had all of our cows pretty well bred. We felt that 1 remaining bull would breed anything else in the breeding season. But we did have a bull go bad at that time. We select bulls on EPDs and visual appraisal, and we try to select bulls on the top 10 to 40% for weaning weight and yearly weight for EPDs. We take blood samples for pregnancy exam. We had the cows up we collected the blood samples back in March of this year, collected blood samples. I take those blood samples into Livestock and Poultry in Little Rock. They can run the blood work, and we get the results for the pregnancy exam. We cull all open females. This last week we had 40 cows and 6 heifers. We had 45 out of 46 were pregnant. The 1 cow that's not pregnant has a calf at her side. When we wean those calves in May, she will be culled. Females that lose a calf are not bred back or all culled. If we have a cow that calves and the calf dies, the cow is culled immediately, and a replacement is purchased for that time. And we cull for other health issues that Dr. Gadbury talked about. We had some cows that had the bad feet. We culled a cow earlier this year because of bad feet, fescue foot. She was losing weight. We sold her to a local packer, got 40 cents a pound for her. Well, that's not much money, but it's better than, like Don says, digging a hole and putting her in a hole. So and of course we culled 20% of our herd in July of 2012 because of the drought. A lot of people sold cattle during the drought, and we were no exception. Shane showed you this graph. It shows you the reason why we culled lost cows and culled cows. Feet and legs, calf, we sold some because of calf death. Here's the drought, but by far the largest number because they were not pregnant. We sold a lot of cows the first year because of not pregnant. Those first set of cows, I think, and I'll show you the data a little bit, a lot of our cows did not breed back that first year. You just got to stay on those cows and cull those cows that don't breed back. Here's our health program. We'll go through this kind of quickly, but we do 7-way, IBR, PI3, virus shield for the cows. We deworm those cows in the spring and the fall. Calves, at our pre-weaning, we castrate the calves. We do 7-way when their baby is about 90 to 120 days of age, and we give a growth implant. On a pre-weaning calf, you'll get 20 to 24 pounds, extra pounds at weaning. Now, what's 20 pounds worth today? Huh? $40. $40. On 10 steer calves, how much is that? $400. Man, how can you leave that on the table? I just don't see how you can leave it on the table. We implant those calves then, and then if we keep those calves for a post-weaning gain in May, we'll implant it again. I just don't see how you can leave that money on the table. Pre-weaning, this was last week. We gave those calves their first rounds of shots. Boosters, we'll deworm them in May, but we believe in preconditioning calves. We give their first rounds of shots last week in April, and then we wean our calves in May. We'll give them their second round of shots. We'll deworm them and implant them again maybe. We actually deworm our calves kind of late. We should really have dewormed our calves last week, but we'll have a group of new county agents in next week, and we want to have them have experience of deworming and do those kind of things, so we'll do that then. And we fence line wean our calves, and that's great. Boy, if you're not fence line dewormed calves, that really works well. No bawling, calves' throats don't get sore, they don't walk the fence, they don't get dust in the throat. We've never had any calves come down with any health problems as a result of fence line weaning. One of the problems that we've had with our cattle with our breeding program is color. Man, we've just got a rainbow of color out there. And that's one of the things that we want to address. And one of the things that we've done this year is that our breeding season in last fall 2013, we synchronized our cows and bred our cows to a Brangus bull. And we followed them up with a cleanup bull with a Hereford bull, so we'll be able to tell which bred to whom. But one of the things that we're trying to work on, as I mentioned, we want to work on our cattle herd now, is trying to clean up our color a little bit. Because make no doubt about it, color does influence the selling price of calves. This is our breeding herd inventory. 08-09 was our first year. The blue bar is the mature cows. The red bar is first calf heifers. And then the green bar is replacement heifers. We started with 38 head. And you can see most of them are mature cows. And second year we had 40 of them head, and with about 30 mature cows and a few first calf heifers. But by and large, we've had mostly mature cows. In 2012, we wanted to increase the size of our herd to 50 cows. Dr. Gadberry and I, we're the animal scientists. We see extra grass out there. We want more cows. Dr. Jennings, a forage agronomist, he always wants to keep us held back. But we felt like we had enough grass out there to run to 50 cows, and what a year to try to expand our cow herd. And so in July 1, we cut back 20%, went back down to 40 cows. So in August, we went from 50 to 40 cows, so we maintained 40 cows for a couple of years. And starting July 2013, we wanted to start to rebuild our cow herd, like many folks wanted to do it. We felt like the way that we would do it this year is rebuild our cow herd by retaining 6 replacement heifers, and that's what we did. We felt a lot of producers would keep extra heifers back to rebuild their cow herd, and so right now we've got 40 cows and we have 6 replacement heifers. Here's our pregnancy rate and calf crop percent. Now, pregnancy rate is the number of cows pregnant divided by the number of cows exposed to the bull. The calf crop percent is the number of calves weaned. And you can see our first year, we sure did not get the pregnancy rate and the calf crop percent that we desired. As you can see, that your question might be, why in some years was your calf crop percent higher than your pregnancy rate? Well, we were blessed with twins. We were blessed with twins a couple of years, so that's the reason why it is. So our first year, we had less than 80% pregnancy rate with the cows that we were given. That's why the importance of culling open cows. You just don't keep them. And as we have culled our open cows, you can see that our pregnancy rate and our calf crop percent has increased over time and has stayed above our goal, our calf crop percent right here. Only 1 year, our fourth year, did our calf crop percent drop below our 90% calf crop percent. This is our this year. We had just one animal did not breed back. But so far, and of course we don't have our calf crop percent for this year yet, but so far we've been able to maintain our calf crop percent right at our goal. Of course, this year we had twins as well. is what happened here. So we've been able to maintain a pretty good calf crop percent pregnancy rate by culling open cows, by culling cows that don't wean calves, and by staying on top of that year after year. Okay, here's our cow herd performance data. There's a lot of numbers over on here, but I think we'll go here line by line. I think you'll get a lot of information. Here's the length of our calving season in days. We have our first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and this is this year. You can see that we have a pretty tight calving season. Our goal is about 60-day calving season, and it's ranged from 49 days up to 73 days. This past fall, September and October 2013, it was 58 days. So we have a very tight calving season, and that's helped us a lot. That helped us a lot because that has allowed us to keep cows in a tight calving season, so it's better matched up with our forage program. So all cows are at the same stage of production. They'll all have the same nutrient requirements, so we can match that up. This is our 205-day adjusted weights for all the cattle, steers and heifers. We started off with 419. That was Brangus bulls bred to Brangus cows. The first year when we put the horn Hereford bulls with them, it increased about 40 pounds. Year 2. Year 3 went to 500. Year 4 slipped a little bit, and year 5 went to 515. So in 5 years, we increased it about 100 pounds. That's pretty good. We felt pretty good about ourselves. We weighed the calves last week. Look what happened to us. Look what happened to us. Just keep that thought for now. Here's our steers 205-day weight. Started at 426. We increased it over time. It went to 551. That's pretty good 205-day weight. That went up 130 pounds. Here's our steers last week. Here's our heifers. Started at 406 pounds. Went up 70 pounds in 5 years. That's our heifers last week. Here's the actual weaning weight. This is our May weights. Raw weights. 470 pounds. It went up to 546. Remember, our goal was 550 weaning weights. We met it here. Came close here. Very close here. Of course, we haven't weaned the calves yet here. But it's not going to be near 550. So look at our weights here. Well, what kind of winter have we had? What kind of spring grass have we had? The National Weather Service tells us, and you don't need the National Weather Service to tell you, that the average monthly temperatures for November, December, January, February, and March was colder than normal. Did you know that March was 5 degrees colder than normal? And that's a lot. And we started getting ice and snow the first week of December, and it didn't stop. We didn't get cold snaps this winter. It was cold all winter long. So if you think about it, what impact did that have on our cows? Well, first thing you might think, well, cows, maybe they didn't have the energy to milk. And maybe that may have affected our weaning weights. Well, last week, our body condition of our cows was over 5. So they came through the winter pretty good. What was our reproduction rates? 45 out of 46 bred. Our breeding season is November, December. November, December. December, January. During the coldest part of the year. So they bred back pretty good. So I'm not so sure, and we didn't measure milk. Was lactation affected? It could have been. So whether the weather affected lactation, I don't know. But what I think, here's my theory, and if you have a different theory, I'd like to talk to you during lunch. But what impact, I think the cold weather had a greater impact on the calves. Calves have a higher, lower critical temperature than cows, especially when they're wet. I think those calves had to spend so much energy just trying to stay warm, there wasn't much energy left over for them to grow. And I say that because of this. We weighed these calves in March. From March to April, they gained 2 pounds a day. Now that's pretty good. I'm hoping there's some compensatory gain in these calves over the next 3 or 4 months, that they'll catch up. But I don't know. We'll see. But I think the cold weather impacted these calves more than we realize. That's my theory. And I think a lot of fall-born calves have been impacted, the weights. But we'll see what happens. When Bill Wallace worked for us, he used to have about 120 cows on cow herd performance. There'd be a year where weights were down, and he contributed to weather. I think the genetics are still in these calves. So we'll see what happens. Here's the dam weight. Dam weights have increased. That's what the dam weight was last week. So the dams held out pretty good. The body condition dropped off a little bit, but they still averaged 5.2. And there's the body condition from year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's last week. When we started off, the dams were winning the 205 adjusted winning weight was 42% of the body weight. We almost got to 50% in year 3. But boy, it sure is down this year. It was down this year because winning weight, the 205-day adjusted weights were so low this year. Here's the expenses that we track. Here's the expenses that we track every year. And, well, you know what salt mineral is. Supplemental feed is a feed we go to the store to buy. That would be range cubes. That would be corn. That would be a lick tank. That would be that kind of thing. Vet medicine is dewormer, vaccinations. It would be IBRPI3, that kind of thing. Growth implants, fly control, sales commission, commission at the sale barn, the brucellosis checkoff, the beef checkoff. Hauling is hauling the cattle to a sale barn. Pregnancy test is the blood test. Bull cost, that would be the lease that we pay. We pay $300 per bull per season. Our BSE and trick cost. Replacement cows. When we have to cull a cow, we buy a cow. We buy a cow. We actually bring another cow that's on the station, but we pay on our budget. We put the fair market value of that cow. Fertilizer, lime, hay. We don't raise hay on our 300-day grazing acreage. We buy hay. We buy hay from the station. We put a fair market value on that hay. Herbicide and miscellaneous. We'll put things like, if we're going to plant something, we'll put the seed cost in there. If we have a drill, we'll put the drill cost in there. We built some sheds for some shade for the cattle and just anything else that kind of fits in there. So those are expenses. Okay, we have 3 columns here. The first column here is the expenses from year 1. That was 2008, 2009. The second column here is years 2, 3, and 4. I've just added those together for an average. And the last column here is a current year. Now this current year is just 9 months. So just keep that in mind. So salt and minerals have been pretty consistent. We spend about $22. All these expenses are on a per cow basis, per animal unit basis. Okay, so we spend about $22 a cow per animal unit a year for salt and mineral. About $22. So far this year we spent $19. Supplemental feed, we haven't spent any money on supplemental feed. And that's what a forage test tells us. Stockpile fescue, stockpile Bermuda grass. We've tested that, and the quality of that forage is high enough to maintain the nutrient requirements for a lactating cow. And our hay that we purchase has been high enough to maintain our cattle. That's what a forage test can tell you. If you're not forage testing, you need to get with your county agent and to make sure you're feeding the right supplement, the right amount of supplement, so you get the right performance for your cattle. But we have not purchased any supplemental feed. Vet medicine, we're spending about $17 an animal unit on vet medicine for vaccinations for your cows and the calves. Growth implants, that's $1. That's not $1 per calf now. That's $1 for the whole herd paying for that. We're not implanting the heifers. Okay, so we're implanting the steers twice. So that's how that's calculated out. Fly control, we're spending about $5 an animal unit for flies. Some years we have a lot of flies and we're spending quite a bit more. Some years we don't have a lot of flies, we're spending quite a bit less. Sales commission, that's $34 per cow. That's not $34 per calf that you sell. That means every animal unit grazing on the farm, and we have about 50 animal units grazing on the farm, average, has to absorb $34 cost for selling cattle at the sale barn. $34 times $50, 50 animal units. It costs about $9 an animal unit to haul cattle to the sale barn. Our pregnancy testing is about $2 an animal unit. And there's our $2. We don't have any cost for fly control because it's too early in the year to put on fly controls yet. We've only spent $7 for vet medicine, and that will go up because we just vaccinated our calves this month. I haven't got the bill yet. And we'll vaccinate our calves next month for the second part of the precondition. Our bull cost was $13 usually. It's $67 this year because we paid for ester synchronization and AI. So it's going to be higher. It's BSE. We paid $3 for the BSE and the trick test. That's what it cost. $3 for the trick test of BSE. Replacement cows. On average, we spend about $222 for replacement costs for replacement cows. Now, for replacement heifers, if you're raising your own replacement heifers, it costs you that or more to raise your own replacement heifers. We haven't spent anything on buying replacement cows this year. We'll probably end up buying 2. So that will go on our budget. Fertilizer, on average, for years 2, 3, 4, and 5, we spent about $85. So far, we spent $116. We spent $160, and most of that's been on potash. If you're not put down potash in the last number of years, and you need potash, you may see more winter kill on your grass this year. You may see more winter kill. But most of this has been potash. We limed the first year of the project because we wanted to get the pH, proper pH for the clover. We haven't put on lime since. Purchase hay. Our hay, we spend about $54 a year for hay. This year we spent $35 per animal unit on hay. We've probably fed hay about 60 days this year. Now, if you fed hay 140 days, and you raised your own hay with your own equipment and calculated your own cost, you probably spent $200 a cow on hay. Probably. Herbicide, we spend about $6 an animal unit on herbicide. We spend about $7 in miscellaneous is our joint category. And this is what we spend, about $480, almost $500 a year on these expenses. And so far we spent about almost $300. About $300. Okay, so what's the average? This is the income. We rather look at income anyway. Here's the average price received. Now, when we look at average price received across here, that's steers, heifers, and culls. That's the entire herd. We range from 84 cents in year 1, that's 08 and 09, all the way to year 4 is 126. And you can see how the prices have increased over time. And the price for this year is going to be higher, I hope. Here's the income per animal unit. It was lowest in year 2 at $618. And it was highest in year 4 at $944. That means that every animal unit grazing the farm contributed a gross income of $899 per animal unit. That's the gross income per animal unit. Is what they were contributing to the farm. Okay, here's the income over specified cost. Okay, and the lowest was actually year 2 at $162, and it ranged from $162 to $338. So that's the income minus the cost that we just talked about. And so this is not profit now, okay? That's not profit, that's just income over these expenses. And here's the herd break even. And that really hasn't changed a whole lot. It's ranged from about 51 cents to 74 cents. And that's how much we have to sell our calves for in order to pay for our expenses. That's what that means. We have to get 69 cents a pound to pay for those expenses that we just talked about. The salt mineral, the vet medicine, supplemental feed, bull cost. We have to get 69 cents. And this is the gross income on a specified cost. It's ranged from $7,000 to $23,000 to $17,000. And this is how much money we have left over to pay overhead expenses. Because this is not profit, this is to pay overhead expenses. But this is what we have to work with here. So that's the economics. If you look at it year by year, this is the white bar is the specified cost. Specified cost was the lowest in year 3, and it has averaged almost $500 an animal unit over the last 5 years. If you put it all together, our cost on specified cost, the salt mineral, supplemental feed, vet medicine, all those things average almost $500 an animal unit. The brown bar is the gross income. It was highest in year 4, 2011, 2012. It was the lowest in year 2, 2009, 2010. And it averaged $783. That includes steer calves, heifer calves, and the culls. If you subtract the two, if you subtract the income minus the cost, $279 is the income over specified cost. So about $300 per animal unit is the income minus specified cost across all years. And of course, it was the highest in year 3. It's kind of slowly coming down here. 11 and 12 was the drought. It was the drought. If you read economists, read their story, they will tell you overhead cost runs somewhere around $120 an animal unit. So if you subtract $120 from there, that'll leave about $170 profit. And if you look at cattle facts, that's about what they predict. Okay, one of the things that we've always done the last 5 years is that when we come to May, we look at the markets and we have to make a decision. Is it more profitable to sell the calves at May, or do we keep the calves for a post-weaning gaining period? And every year for those 5 years, we felt like it was more profitable to keep those calves for a short post-weaning period. In 2009, we kept those calves for about a 55-day grazing period. They gained 1.8 pounds. The lowest we kept those calves in 2010 for about a 7-day gaining period, and they just gained 1 pound. And the lesson we learned in 2010 is that in July it got so hot, the cattle just quit eating that Bermuda grass, and they literally backed up. They lost weight. And that's why they went from 1.8 to 1 pound a gain per day. And we said, we're not going to let that happen to us again. So if you look at years 3, 4, and 5, we didn't quite keep them quite as long, and we kept our gains up. But over the 5-year period, they've gained about 1.5 pounds per head per gain, slowly on grass, on Bermuda grass. And we do a leader-follower program where the calves get the Bermuda grass grazing first, and the cows come behind and kind of clean it up. Here's the retained ownership program. Here's the winning value on the calves in year 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Boy, in year 5, it was pretty tough to keep calves that were worth $824 a head. We had a livestock market reporter last week come out and put value on our calves, those 420-pound calves. You know how much those calves were worth last week? How much? They were worth over $900. Here's the selling value of those calves. They average $730 at the weaning. Average selling value of the 5 years is $796. Overall, you can see how much the value of those calves have gained. It ranged from much as $91 to less than $30. And overall, we've gained $66 a head by keeping them that short post-weaning period. And this is the added value for the entire herd. We've gained about $2,500 for those calves. So it's worked out for us. Some years have worked out a little better than others, but it's always worked out for us. So what makes this system work? A good ratio of warm and cool season forages has worked out for us. Optimum soil fertility, and we test the soils. We find out what's in the soil, and we fertilize accordingly to our plan of what we want to grow and where we want to grow it. Electric fence and water placement works out for us. We use a lot of electric fences. Fertilize by season. We just don't fertilize. We fertilize the season because we want the grass to grow when we want it to grow, and we always plan a season ahead. Forage testing. Boy, I cannot emphasize that enough. Forage testing. We don't overstock. We have some flexibility. We're just talking about 2.5 acres per animal unit. Fertilized by season. We optimize cow herd and calving season management. A short, predefined calving season is really a key to managing our cow herd. Fence line weaning. That keeps our calves weaned, keeps them healthy, keeps them growing. They're not set back by weaning. Strip grazing. It sure is a lot easier to go out there in the wintertime and just move that electric fence back a few feet to feed those cattle in the wintertime versus putting out hay or having to feed half a day during the wintertime. That works out well. Don tells me it takes about an hour a day to manage those cattle. Leader-follower program, I talked about that for grazing those calves and planning one or more seasons ahead of time to ensure forage is as good as possible. If you want to know the latest information from Animal Science Extension, I welcome you to join our blog. You can go to www.arkansas-livestock.com or www.arkansas-forages.com. Both of those addresses will get you to this website here. You can come down to this box and put in your email address and join this blog. Every time that we have updates, we will put them on our blog. You will get an email talking about our updates, and you can read it. Also, too, the other thing about this is that this conference and many of our conferences are videoed. You can go to our blog to get to our videos, to see the videos if you want to. But our electronic newsletters and all other information are available through our blog. Anytime that we write a news release that goes to the public, the newspapers, it's posted on our blog first, and you can get to read it first. It will be sent to you via email. So if you want the latest and the greatest from Animal Science Extension, I recommend that you join our blog, www.arkansas-livestock.com.